Hey everybody, I'm JimClassic and you are watching Geekin' It, and for today's video, I would like to talk about the Transformers Studio Series 86 Deluxe Class Bumblebee and the Transformers Legacy United Deluxe Class Animated Universe Bumblebee. Now, this is a reshoot because I had pictures, I already recorded myself with these guys in the boxes, and I can't find the source material. So, anyway, they're out of the package. We don't need to talk about the box. Here it is. Here's pictures of it. We don't need to go into this any further. Let's just dive right into these and start with Bumblebee, 86 Bumblebee, and see what he is all about. Let's start things off with the backdrop, which are the spiky innards of Unicron from the 86 movie. Personally, I think a better idea would have just been the moon base, but that's just me. It's fine and all, but I'm probably not going to keep it. And here we have 86 Bumblebee out of the package and, you know, standing right here. So I do have some mixed opinions about this. I like the figure, and I have issues with it at the same time. I guess one of them being is I don't see this as a proper 86 movie Bumblebee when it comes to his looks. This is like, it looks like Bumblebee. It looks like a G1 Bumblebee. But I don't really think it looks like the 86 movie Bumblebee in the sense of proportions. He is missing a lot of the traditional Bumblebee animation elements. And maybe it's because of his design, his proportions. Maybe the design team slacked off a bit. I don't really know. But he doesn't, to me, he doesn't meet a true criteria of the 86 Bumblebee design any more than, let's say, Earthrise does. All right, and I'm not hating on this guy. I'm not saying I hate this figure. I'm just saying he doesn't. Well, let me explain here. Bumblebee has always had, in his animation model, has always had more normalized proportions. That's not really possible for a toy like this, unless we're talking about, let's say, the Robot Enhanced design. The Robot Enhanced design Bumblebee probably is closer to the 86 animation model than this is. And but we're not talking about the Robot Enhanced design figures. But let me just talk about the toy minus references to the 1986 movie. And let's start, of course, with the head sculpt, which you have a really nice Bumblebee head sculpt there. It looks the part. It's got that simple kid-friendly appeal. Got the fun, you know, odd-shaped head sculpt and the little horns, and you know, got the little lines there on the forehead. Oh wait, I forgot I have this. Little lines there on the forehead. You know, nothing much on the back there, except for you can see the ball joint. There is something odd though. If you look at Bumblebee from this angle versus that angle, he's got some weird pursed lips or something. Like something with his cheekbones or his mouth. They're kind of like folded a little bit or curved. And then when you angle him at this angle, it kind of goes away. And this is, you know, kind of how we see Bumblebee. I've never seen Bumblebee make that face. That's kind of an odd little quirk. I don't know if everyone's looks like that, but I just find it like an odd looking, like he's maybe doing like duck lips or something, you know? But anyway, the toy is mostly cast in yellow plastic, and you can kind of just, you know, drink in all of that yellow, you know, as the Autobot spy. Bright yellow is an odd choice. His pelvis area does have a lighter, more sun-bleached kind of a yellow, where the chest and the feet and the arms... Oh no, the arms are also that sun-bleached color. You know, looking at him in different lighting helps give me a different perspective. But yeah, the arms, the forearms, and the pelvis have a more sun-bleached yellow, where the chest, the feet, the hunchback right here, all have a rich yellow look to them. I do have to say, one of the things I really do like about this figure is the fact that you don't see any clear plastic on Bumblebee here. Like the windshield body, it's I don't know if it's painted or if it's a, I think it might be a separate piece, or the roof might be separate from this. But yeah, it is a gray plastic, or a dark gray, brownish. I'm a little colorblind. You'll have to forgive me. It's a charcoal. That's the word. It's a charcoal plastic, and you know, the same color as the legs and the bumper there and the shoulder pads. But yeah, it's a charcoal type colored plastic. So there's no clear plastic issues with this guy. Look, sometimes clear plastic looks good, but oftentimes it is a quality control issue where it will break, and it's not here on this Bumblebee, which is great. Another really neat thing about this Bumblebee is apparently if you open up the chest here, I mean, there's nothing, but apparently his chest cavity can hold the Autobot Matrix of Leadership, the Earthrise version of the Matrix of Leadership, which, you know, is kind of a funny thing. You could turn this guy into Bumble Miss Prime, I guess. You know what? Aside from the fact that I don't think this guy looks like the animation model, you know, he stands well, he poses really well, he's got some decent articulation, he's got a ball-jointed head, he can't really look up that well, and he can't really look down. He can kind of nod his head a little bit, but that's just about it. You know, 360-degree head rotation, kind of tilt his head side to side a little bit. You know, there's a little bit of wiggle waggle, but not a lot. We got ball-jointed shoulders. We have a bicep cut right there, 90-degree bend at the elbow, rotating wrist. You can see the mushroom peg right there. He's got a nice waist rotation going on right there. He has universal joints for the hips. He can kick up that high. He can kick back that high. Kind of reminds me of like a Mario jump, kind of. There is a thigh cut right here, so he can do a thigh swivel. He can bend his knee at 90 degrees, though, you know, that doesn't, with Bumblebee's proportions and the small length of the thigh, that doesn't really get you much. You know, it'd still be difficult for him to sit down. And there is an ankle tilt right there. And that is probably the only other thing which I don't really like about the robot mode is I don't like that ankle pivot, because that is more of a shin break to me. The ankle is like, would be down to here. This is his shin, and it's a shin break. I mean, granted, with the engineering, maybe that's the best that they could do, but I still don't like it. I'd rather have no ankle tilt than a shin break, personally speaking. And yet, Missing Link Bumblebee managed to pull it off where this guy could not. So maybe someone was really slacking over at Hasbro. I don't really know. I'm not really trying to throw too much shade. There could be legit reasons why this guy shelf-warmed for such a long time. Bumblebee's only accessory is his pistol. It is silver painted. It's that charcoal color with the silver paint, and it's a nice looking gun right there. You know, I think there's a little bit of chipping, or maybe it's just because of the cut it wasn't painted fully, but it's a nice shimmery silver. It is blast compatible, so he can shoot and defend himself against the Decepticons if he needs to. And well, you know, I think I've said enough that I could say about this guy. Let's just get to comparisons before we get this guy into transformation. Let's start with comparing him with other Bumblebees, starting with Earthrise Bumblebee right there. And they pretty much are about the same height. Maybe Earthrise might be a little bit taller, but, you know, they're a pretty good height together. Of course, you know, we gotta talk about Cliff Jumper, and we got Classics Bumblebee, who's towering over the others. We got the buzzworthy Bumblebee. And lastly, we got Goldbug. Or no, I'm sorry, Bug Bite. I do have Shattered Glass Goldbug. And, oh, right, and I do have buzzworthy Bumblebee Goldbug, but Shattered Glass Goldbug is not here. I always forget about the Shattered Glass figures. I always end up leaving them on the shelves. And I just always forget. But anyway, So yeah, here he is with all the bumblebees, and and Cliff Jumper. And it's a pretty good, these guys all look pretty good. Like, I don't think this mold has aged too badly, in my opinion. Now, what I am hoping to see is, I think it's just a matter of time before we get a Studio Series Cliff Jumper, a new Studio Series Cliff Jumper based off of this mold. And since Hasbro had so much fun with these other figures, I'm hoping they will do so again, but this time maybe give us a glyph or maybe a tap out from the BotCon timelines. That would be pretty cool. But that's just my thoughts on that. I totally forgot to compare Bumblebee's robot mode with some of his other 86 counterparts. So here he is, real quick, on the shelf with some of Bumblebee's compatriots and other fellow Autobots. Some of them are Studio Series 86, and others are other various forms of Legacy and Classic. But yeah, Bumblebee does scale in properly with many of the other characters, and he does look pretty good there with Spike. I have to say that. All right, now let's get this guy into vehicle mode. First, we're going to open up the chest right here, and this is the part where we hinge the head down. We're going to put the backpack area up like so. Alright, we're gonna bend the elbows right here, kind of get things in position. I don't think I have to swivel the waist. I don't think we have to. But we are going to open up the back. See the back wheels right there. They are gonna go flip like that. They're gonna flip like that. Now, on the arms, there is a tab right there and a slot right there. So what we're doing is we're closing everything up by the hinge right there, and we are going to put those arms together like so. All right. And we're going to just kind of accordion down the back half of the car. So here we have that. We are going to close things up there at the ab section. I don't know. Does this count as a Gerwalk mode? I hope not. It stands. Does stand. So maybe this could count as a Gerwalk mode. I don't know. Anyway, so with the feet, here we have these little feety pads, and they're going to open up like so. Going to open up like so. This is going to flip in. This is going to flip in. And then the back of the heels is going to open up like so. Open up like so. And now these gray panels are going to flip up and flip up. And I guess you can tab the front of the car together right now if you really want to. And with these legs, they're going to fold, kind of accordion. Now, as they're folding, you can see part of the Volkswagen hood start to come down. So you just kind of accordion this guy together. Make sure everything is shored up. There we go. And there we have Bumblebee in vehicle mode. And, well, I do have some mixed feelings here. What I do like is the fact that Hasbro did capture the penny racer look of G1 Bumblebee's, vehicle shape, and I think they did a pretty good job. It's got that cute, got that cute penny racer look to it. It's got the big wheels in the back, the little wheels in the front. It's a cute vehicle mode, and it does roll very well. Those pinned wheels make it roll pretty darn good. And also, kudos to Hasbro for not using clear plastic, which means, obviously it's a toy, it can still break, but this reduces the possibility of breakage. So I prefer the dark gray windows. I'll take that over clear plastic. And, it's got some painted headlights and some painted brake lights, and of course the bumpers. So there are some things that I do like about this vehicle mode. On to the things I'm not a huge fan of, and it's very panel heavy. I mean, there's a lot of breaks here in the cut, or a lot of cuts in the sculpt, I should say. This doesn't really hold in very well. There's a lot of panels, and the color matching for this particular area is definitely off. Like, this is some bold yellow. This is you know, sun-bleached yellow. So, yeah, it's definitely got some flaws. Of course, you can put the gun and tab it right here in the back. Weapon storage for the fail. I mean, really, I don't think there's any place else you can really put it. But, you know, I guess the only other thing I would have to complain about it is that, you know, Bumblebee's classic spare tire is not there. But, yeah, I mean, look at all those panel lines, man. This does kind of ruin it for me. So here's his vehicle mode, along with the other Bumblebees and some of his mold mates. And, yeah, he might be the jankiest out of the bunch. Actually, I like the Penny Racer look of his alt mode. I mean, it's classic G1. How could I possibly hate it? But I also like the realistic look of the Earthrise Bumblebee as well. Studio Series 86 Bumblebee is a complex figure for me. I like his look, though not truly faithful to the animated model, and I like the fact that he's got no clear plastic. Of course, he's an overall fun toy, poses well, it looks good and all that jazz, but I can't ignore the weird joints, such as the shin brake, and that VW mode is all lines and panels, which kind of ruins it for me a little bit. But the car mode, well, it rolls well, and it's got the right shape, so it's a total mixed bag for me. Anyway, let's move on to Legacy Animated Bumblebee. So, now that we've gotten 86 Bumblebee done and out of the way, I'd like to move on to Transformers Legacy United Animated Universe Bumblebee again. And, well, since I'm a little bit behind in my video posts and just delays and stuff, I'm also just going to cover Age of the Primes Animated Universe Wasp as well. So, you know, not exactly a triple review since these guys are pretty much the same figure except the different head sculpt and a different deco. We'll try and get through this as quickly and as efficiently as I am capable of doing. Anyway, let's just start with Animated Bumblebee here, and of course let's start with that head sculpt. And yeah, that is a nice head sculpt. That definitely captures the look of Animated Bumblebee. I mean, you got the shape right, you got the elongated chin, you got that real cheeky smirk right there, and even the black outline in certain areas, like especially around the face and the let's do that. Especially around the face and the forehead crest. You know, had some thick outlines, and they covered this Bumblebee head really, really well. And, you know, just quickly moving on to Wasp, I'm going to have to say they did it again twice. This is a really good Wasp head sculpt. Believe me, it's not easy to say Wasp head sculpt. I'd like to think I did it pretty well. Only took me 10 times. Anyway, yeah, this is a really good head sculpt, and it might even be better than Bumblebee's, but it does capture, again, that animated look quite well, and even like the jaw going over the mouth, like that is where Waspinator's mandibles are gonna be. And look at those pink eyes, man. They just burn, especially with the contrast of the light green and the forest green right there. Look at that. That is a gorgeous head sculpt. And again, it captures the look of Transformers Animated. So, and about the rest of the figure. Well, yes, much like 86 Bumblebee, I do have some mixed feelings here. I will try to go through it as succinctly as I can. Well, for starters, the overall shape of Bumblebee, and by extension, Wasp, it does have the same bullet points as Animated Bumblebee. I mean, you know, there are some similarities between G1 Bumblebee and Animated Bumblebee. But, you know, Animated Bumblebee definitely had the big shoulder tires right here, had the black stripe. I think the original toy also had the alternating black stripe. The animation model might have kept the black stripe all the way to one side, but, you know, we got the black stripe, and you got, like, the cool little stompy boots, which, you know, they look stompy, and they look like they're boots. So, you know, I would say they hit the mark right there. But the rest of Animated Bumblebee just looks like a robot mode. I don't know. I don't remember how well they captured the look, because this is a legacy, a chugified, classics-fied interpretation of animated. So a lot of the exaggerated proportions simply don't exist for this. And which is fine. This is not animated. This is a animated version of Legacy. So, you know, to classicsify the character, I have nothing against. But what I do have issue with is that Bumblebee, and by extension Wasp, have an unhealthy amount of clear plastic, primarily right here in the chest. Now, as you can see there, those are hinges. Those are hinges. Oops, we need to focus. Those are hinges. And, you know, hinges and clear plastic don't always make the best combination. And if we lift up the chest, we see more clear plastic right here in more hinged spots. So that's going to be a problem in the future. Maybe not now, because I tend to treat my toys pretty well with a certain modicum of respect. But, you know, 20 years from now, regardless of how well I treat this figure, those hinges might just, you know, break on me one day. So the clear plastic is definitely an issue. Not a big fan. But other than that, I mean, you know, Bumblebee looks good. A lot of unpainted yellow plastic. The clear plastic is obviously painted yellow, and I would say the color matching. Is pretty good. It's better. It might be better on him than it was on 86 Bumblebee with some of the sun bleached yellow. Moving on to the back, nothing much going on there. Not a terrible backpack. It's a fairly decent backpack. Yeah. And other than that, you know, it's a competent robot mode. It works as a robot mode. My only real concern is the clear plastic. But let's get into articulation. He does have a ball-jointed head, which is incredibly tight. And with my big fingers and that tiny little head, it makes things a bit of a challenge sometimes. Bumblebee can look up very, very well. He can't really look down because of the chest and that gigantic chin. You can get a little bit of a head tilt here and there. There. Ooh, those horns. I had to exert a little bit of strength to move the head, and it kind of pinched my fingers a little bit. Moving on to the shoulder joint. Well, this is an interesting type of shoulder joint. This is a new type of thing. We have the hinge right here that goes, you know, he can do the chicken. He can do the chicken dance. But under normal circumstances, you know, you could move that shoulder all around, but it stops. It's a stopping point right here. So this shoulder joint does not allow Bumblebee to, you know, fully rotate his shoulders. There's a stopping point. The way the arm is broken up, it's broken up into several hinges. There's a hinge there, and then here for the bicep, and then the elbow, of course. So this is broken up into some pretty interesting segments. And I guess it's, you know, that might have been how the original animated Bumblebee was, too. I do have the original animated Bumblebee, but he is in storage, and I cannot get to him at the moment. But, you know, this was kind of similar engineering to the original version of this guy. So, you know, I guess they're just trying to keeping with tradition. But either way, the shoulder can, you know, at least go forward to that point. Can't go back at all. So, but then we have this extra secondary shoulder, I guess, which can, you know, swivel forwards and backwards. You have a bicep swivel right there. So we have a bicep swivel right there. And oh, we actually do have a wrist swivel. It's very tight, and I'm actually kind of surprised it exists, considering how small this whole area is. But yes, there's a wrist swivel. So Bumblebee does have a waist rotation right there. He can spin around 360. And he can kick out that far. He can go back that far. Very similar to 86 Bumblebee. He does have a... his leg just flies right off. It's a double mushroom peg. Let's just pop that back on. There we go. We do have a thigh rotation right there. We have over 90-degree bend at the knee. Look at that. It looks like that looks like a kind of a ballet leap right there. No. Oh, no. He does have an ankle flex. He does not have an ankle point. And he does kind of have an ankle pivot. It's very, very subtle and very wimpy and not particularly great. Bumblebee does have a decent ankle pivot if you force it, but you have to get past this clearance right here. And, you know, that's... You saw that? Just kind of pop, pop. You know, I don't recommend doing that very often. And, of course, the same can be said for Wasp here. He has... Bumblebee and Wasp have the exact same level of articulation. Now that I've talked about Bumblebee's deco, let's just talk about Wasp's deco real quick. And, you know what? I think I like Wasp a little bit better than Bumblebee here. This dark green with the lime green and the black, this dude just pops. I mean, this is a killer color scheme. And I think it is... He is outperforming Bumblebee here when it comes to deco. Even the dark purple clear plastic in the chest and the accessories, which we'll get to in a minute. Even that dark purple just looks so good. Probably my only issue with this deco is you can't really see the Decepticon symbol. It's kind of right there. You know, like back here, you can't really see it because it just sort of somehow just disappears into the green. But like, that's probably the worst thing about this deco is I can't see the Decepticon symbol. And quite frankly, this is the fugitive version of Wasp. He's not a Decepticon yet, guys. He's technically still an Autobot, a falsely accused Autobot, but he is still technically an Autobot at this point. But whatever. This color scheme is just popping. So moving to accessories here, well, Bumblebee comes with 4 accessories, and they are his rockets and his stingers. We're going to start with the rockets because I kind of like them best. These are very cartoonish looking bulbous rockets, and they have 5mm ports, and they go right there on Bumblebee's backpack. I suppose they could go anywhere where there's a 5mm port, and he's got at least 6 of them, or 8. The rockets allow Bumblebee to fly at top speed. Unfortunately, there is no 5mm port for a blast effect. There is a 3mm port there for display stands, but that's it. I see that as a bit of a missed opportunity since, you know, blast effects are fun, and this is a rocket. It should have a blast effect port. But, you know, there is that. Now, the other parts of Bumblebee's accessories are his stingers, which was also animated. He does have the stingers, which are also clear plastic, but a blue clear plastic. And it's got some nice painted silver. It kind of alternates a little bit. And these are little laser gun things. So what we're going to do here is we're going to open up the arm, and we're going to flip... Oh, wrong way. We're going to flip the hand back, like so. Close the arm up. Repeat the process with this one. So now we have these stubs with 3mm ports, and the stingers have 3mm posts. So we're going to angle it in like so. I'm going to redo it again. We're going to angle in the stinger to the port like so. Now, this isn't my favorite part of this figure, but you kind of have to tilt the arms in a specific way, and they can go together, via this little 3mm port, And now Bumblebee has a stinger weapon that he has to combine the pieces together to fire it. And I don't think that's how it was in the cartoon. That's how it was for the original toy. Oh my god, dude. Just stand up. There we go. Now, that's how it was for the original toy, but I think in the cartoon series, I think the stingers were just separate items, and he could just fire them. And dude, he's not that top heavy, so I don't know what this is all about. He is blast compatible when it comes to some things. There is a little bit of a nub there, and it's just big enough for the soft plastic blast effects. So, I mean, that's a bit too badass for Bumblebee's stinger weapon, but, you know, it is there and it does work. Now, when it comes to Wasp, Wasp has the exact same accessories as Bumblebee, except, quite frankly, I prefer to keep them on his back with the 3mm ports attached to the end of each rocket. So it kind of gives Wasp that early Waspinator kind of a look, you know, hinting of his fate down the line. But, you know, I suppose, you know, if you wanted to, you could still put the rockets in his hands. You could do that. Maybe flip these around a little bit if you want to. And, you know, Wasp has these cool-looking ray guns. Very, very, you know, 1960s ray gun kind of thing. Which, you know what, this does kind of work, too. This does kind of work. And look at the purple plastic on these things. You got this purple clear plastic, and you got, like, the silver-painted fins. And then the silver right there on the stingers. I think these are... Yeah, it's painted solid. It's clear plastic, but it's painted all solid. And, you know, these look great. These look fantastic. I do kind of like them as ray guns. I like them as wings better. But as ray guns, they do a good job. Here's Bumblebee along with the other Legacy Autobots. He's obviously the smallest guy of the group, but he looks pretty okay hanging out with them. Of course, here we have Wasp with his animated Legacy Classics counterparts right here. And obviously he is the smallest of the bunch. But, you know, all these guys kind of complement him and complement each other in their own unique ways. Maybe less him, but whatever. But no, yeah, Legacy, Wasp, and Motormaster. At least those two are the most recent ones. But yeah, everyone looks pretty good. I mean, I'm getting a decent Classics animated Decepticon gang here. Just need some, really, we just need Megatron. I would like to see Megatron, maybe Starscream. Well, now that we've talked about Bumblebee and Wasp here, let's just get these guys into vehicle mode. So, since it's the same transformation, we're just gonna move Wasp over here to the side and just focus on Bumblebee, since, you know, this video started off as a Bumblebee video. So we're going to start by opening up the doors on the arms, like so. Flipping the wrists in, like so. We're going to rotate the arm, and put it up here by the wheel well. Like so. Oops, well, it comes undone, but that happens. Alright, so that's all we're going to do right now for those arms. We're going to take the clear plastic chest and just kind of fold everything up there, like so. Rotate the waist. We'll get this queued up and ready to go. So, we're going to close in Bumblebee's heels. We're going to open up his shins and collapse in his knees. And while the legs are open, fold up the feet, rotate the front fenders, and close the hood. Now, we tab these pieces in like so, and then we're going to just ab crunch him into vehicle mode. Now, there's a little bit of a clearance here sometimes between the arms. I don't always like this, but Well, that time it seemed to work pretty well. And now we tab the hood into the clear plastic windshield. Now, we do the double hinge here. That is the shoulder joint. Kind of put everything in there like so. Get the tab to lock in like so. Here we go. We do the same thing on this side. Oh, we have to close this down. I almost forgot. We have to close in the rear of the car because it has to tab on the inside of the wheel well. I goofed on that one. And it doesn't always like to do this. I don't know why. I haven't figured it out yet. There we go. Never mind. I didn't have it closed all the way. But yes, we're going to do it again. We close it all the way in, and then we tab it into the wheel well. And then that, yeah, perfect. A little bit of a mulligan there. And then we close. Put all this stuff together. There we go. And here we have Bumblebee in his vehicle mode. Now, when it comes to Wasp right here, and there we go in vehicle mode. Same exact transformation, so nothing much to show here. So yeah, Bumblebee and Wasp in vehicle mode. And I do have to say, they both capture the shape of the animated design. They might not capture the look 100%, but again, this is a legacy version of animated, so some liberties were taken. And, you know, I like the shape. I like the shape of the vehicle mode. It's this nice little, like, Mini Cooper type of thing. Bumblebee and Wasp roll rather well, thanks to pinned wheels. And the fact that just about everything locks into place very well, I have to give points for. I'm not a big fan of the gap, much like 86 Bumblebee. But there are some things I don't like. Like, you can see the hinges right here by the sides of the doors. You know, they're not part of anything. They're not part of like the side mirrors or anything like that. And I don't like the 5mm port. Well, I don't like this 5mm port. I just don't like it. It just it just kind of sticks out. And like I don't know if I could put it in the right words. I just know I don't like this particular 5mm port here, right behind the wheel well. But you do have some nice, nice design here on the grille. You know, the racing stripe is kind of fun. You see the little siren right there, and again, all that clear plastic. It's kind of ugly. I mean, you know, any car with a clear plastic window, any transformer, I should say, with a clear plastic window, you're gonna see this. But I don't know, this is a little bit uglier than usual. And not a fan of just the random black right there at the rear of the car, indicating, you know, that's where the shoulder joint is for the robot mode. So, like, there are things about it I like, and there are things about it I don't like. That seems to be the theme of this entire video. Now, with Wasp, again, I love the shape. I love the color deco, black racing stripe. You know, I think those headlights pop a lot better than Bumblebee's does. So, you know, the deco is kind of superior. Even those purple windshields, you can't really see the ugliness that you would here. So, you know, I do have to say this is a better deco. And I'm more forgiving of the light green there than I am on the black here on Bumblebee. I don't know why. It's got to be the color deco. It's got to be the color deco, but I'm just more forgiving of that bright green there. And I don't know why. It just, you know, but you know, going back to the earlier thing of 5mm ports everywhere. He's got 6 of them. You can put the rockets on Bumblebee right here. And he can do a little turbo boost type of thing when he drives. And the same thing for Wasp. You can even just do it here in the front. There we go. This is what we'll do. We'll put that here on the front. So then, again, let's differentiate Wasp and Bumblebee a little bit. So Wasp has got side guns on his car mode, and he is chasing Bumblebee along, trying to blast him and trying to shoot him down. The vehicle mode is solid. It is a solid vehicle mode. Everything is holding together well. It rolls well. It just the clear plastic. I don't like the way it looks on Bumblebee, and I don't like those two 5mm ports and the hinges on the side. They kind of muddy things up for me. I think that's the word I'm trying to use. They muddy things up for me. Other than that, you know, it's an okay vehicle mode. That's pretty much it for 86 Bumblebee, Legacy Animated Bumblebee, Age of the Primes Wasp. You know, I would have to say all of their robot modes are superior to the vehicle modes, and with certain degrees. I mean, I'm not a fan of Bumblebee's weird ankle tilt. I'm not a fan of all the clear plastic in these two, and their vehicle modes are a bit too panel heavy for my liking. So yeah, they're not getting the best review. You know, maybe recommended if you get them on sale. I mean, like Animated Bumblebee and 86 Bumblebee are no longer on the shelves, so you'll probably have to get them in the aftermarket. But Age of the Primes Wasp is on the shelves right now, and I don't know. I don't know if really know if he's worth $24 with all of these issues that I've brought up. They're fun robot modes. They're fun to pose with. Yeah, it's fun to have them with their assigned lines, but I just have lots of mixed feelings. You know, it sounds weird just to have these kinds of odd complaints, but I do. Anyway, I think I've gone on enough. Please, you know, let me know what you think about 86 Bumblebee or Animated Legacy Bumblebee or Wasp. You know, what are your thoughts? Do you have these figures? Do you have the same opinions that I do? Do you disagree with me entirely? Just, you know, feel free to let me know. Anyway, I'm out. Thank you for watching. I'm JimClassic, and you have been watching Geekin' It Now. See you guys later. Take care, everybody.